Hey y'all, it's Scott in the studio doing my first test, seeing what happens with video. Took a big painting of mine, 48 by 60, and I'm gonna tear it up. Just blew it out with a whole bunch of white, and now I'm rubbing off and scraping and peeling on and seeing what happens. So always playing with hardware, messing with stuff, see if we can get some patterns. Scrape off some shapes, and then I'll be mixing up some color. Next little experiment, getting some hardware. Gonna play with this crazy yellow that's right here in front of you. Showing some of my tricks of the trade, ramping up some serious stuff to create some giant markings to see what happens. Still playing. Going crazy up in here. Let's see what happens next. Now messing around with this cool coastal turquoise, funky green stuff. Seeing what happens when we move and blend. Great texture with this big super spatula that we've got here. Seems like a good start, and I really love that color. Maybe there's a way to put little bits of it here and there and bust into our white a little bit. Have some accidents along the way. Scrape it free to get some texture. See what happens. Maybe create some lines, and let's see if we get some, maybe play with some other tools to create some more scraping and some texture and some movement. Let's just see what happens when we go crazy. And it is spring, so probably need to add some green in here. Keep it light and bright and happy. See what happens. See what happens when we mix and match, create some motion. See how the textures come through. And maybe we can get a start there and then peel some of that back off. Maybe we can play with it like de Kooning might play with it, and do a bunch of scraping off as much as we are putting on. But we've got that base, that color coming through. Let's see what happens when we try to scratch some of that away. First with shop towels, and then we'll play with other tools. See what happens when we pull a lot of that away, revealing the texture below. Ooh, I like that. That's pretty cool, isn't it? See that texture? See those under colors coming through? Who knows where it'll end up eventually, but right now, I'm just building layers, adding, subtracting, playing with it. Ooh, there's some cool textures there. Look at how that all blended and pulled some of that thick impasto paint off. And then since we have so much good vibration here, we can then add it in other places. We can use the subtraction to do the additions. See what happens. See what magic. Even though if you look really closely, you can see some dark stuff and textures coming through, I still feel like it really needs to have some more depth and darkness. So let's start with dark, and then maybe we come back to the white, which was that next level coat, but I think it just needs some splashes, some texture that is dark. And let's see what happens when we do that in a somewhat random and splashy way that gives even more highlight to that texture. That's pretty cool. Maybe we need to pull some of that back off and let it not be quite so thick, and let it be more playful. Ooh, that's cool over the green. See that texture showing up? Let's see what happens when we now take a little bit of that away. In fact, let's use our scraper. Just see what happens if we play it, we pull it somewhere in a different direction. Take some of the hard edge off portions of it, gives it a whole new dimension through the mixing and matching that we see. Now that I got this cool stuff on my brush, let's see where else I may be able to add some texture and do something very, very different. That's pretty cool. Check that out. It's starting to come together. One of the key things, anytime you start getting into the painting, I think, is the idea of changing and reframing your perspective. So I think it's that time where I'm starting to kind of like some things here. It's time for me to flip the script. It's time for me to take it, put it in a different orientation, and I think some of the white that's in the background should now come into the foreground. There's probably more practical ways, simple ways to do that, but I like to just kind of jump in and see if there's a spot that just looks like it's talking to me, like it needs something, and then let this cool white just happen. See what happens when I just kind of slap and play. That was an interesting twist. That purple came out. Let's see what happens when I accentuate and let that go even farther, mixing in the purple. Maybe there's some areas that still need some touches. Let's flip it again. Let's see what happens when we go this direction. And what do you think of that so far? Lot of subtleties. I've got some hard saturated colors, mostly blended though. And what if we try to get some of our lightest color next to our darkest colors, like right in here somewhere, and let that be thick and crazy, playful. This area here I think needs maybe to scrape some paint away. So let's see what happens. What kind of tools and things can we play with? Maybe a rubber flexible scraper. Just see let's find out what's underneath here. Ooh, I like that. And then maybe we can use this, what I call my echoes. When we peel something away, it's a great opportunity to create some other shapes and textures and other playfulness. That's getting pretty cool now, don't you think? I was thinking it might be fun to play with some details. I got these cool little Sonalier 3D liners. Let's see what happens if we just do some mark making and play with, not with a lot of intention, but just play with some scribbling and marks. And we might be scraping as much as we're adding in paint, but it creates some randomness and flow that's kind of expressing whatever angst is going on in my body and maybe even my brain right now. That's pretty cool. In fact, that's really cool. So I feel like this is starting to come together, gang. I think I like the textures. I like the different layers of white. I like that I can see some things coming in from the underpainting. I like light on dark. There's a focal point growing over here with those thick, full color paints and texture. Almost everywhere else, there's something going on that leads your eye. There's still some places for the eye to rest that are relatively the same. There's a color though in the original painting, this kind of pinkish, funky magenta that I'd love to see become bold in the foreground. And then hopefully, because it becomes bold up front, it actually will show you the echoes of it behind it. So let's see what happens if I go crazy in a little circle here in the middle. We might end up doing something more, but just picture this color in contrast to this yellow. Let's see what happens. Not sure if I'm happy with how thick that is. So let's keep playing with it a little bit and see what happens. Ooh, that's getting even cooler. It kind of blends and mixes. You can see that color popping out. Let me get even more on the brush and we'll see what happens. Pretty excited about that. And the little bits of that color aren't showing up as much as I thought it would, but that doesn't mean we can't create little textures and spots of it by using our creativity and even our throwing arm. It's like taking if you want to throw a potato off the tines of a fork, it's a speed up to a stop. And it gives us all these really wonderful little textures here that are powerful. And I think it's time to reflect on this. We might be getting really close to a full painting. Yeah, I'm not feeling that circle there now. I thought it was a good idea. I went with my gut. But now I'm not feeling that little round. That just doesn't work. So the cool thing about acrylic, the cool thing about abstract is that if you don't like it, you just take it away. So you find a way to just remove it. So in this case, I'm taking a cool catalyst scraper, which is great for shaping and making other textures, and just scraping this away. And who knows, maybe it'll reveal something really cool underneath that's useful, or at least pave the way for something that does work. So now I've got all this open area, this texture, just still calling out. I still think it's an important focal point for us. We've just got to figure out the right thing to do there. And maybe the right thing has to come back to this amazing color, this orange, fluorescent yellow-orange from Blick. A lot of my stuff here is golden. There's also some Nova color here, but this crazy Blick stuff, it's just the coolest color. So let's see what happens there if I take that same catalyst scraper and bring in some of that original color, see if it eventually tells us what's necessary. Maybe we can leave that circle there. Well, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Let's see what happens when we just keep letting that circle become more organic and flowing. That's actually turning into something really great. We can always, as I said, use the edges, use these other portions to create echoes based on what we scrape away. Let's now do something crazy and just really scrape this and see what happens. What if we take these colors, just pull it across? Kind of liking that now. Might even need more of that yellow. Let's see what that would look like. Same scraper, putting on some yellow, picked up a touch of the purple. Let's see if we can bring that in. I wish you could talk to me through the camera to tell me what you think it needs, but I'm feeling like I've got to do something drastic here to make it all come together. So I've been loving this fluorescent yellow, the whole painting. I felt like that was a focal point in the beginning, and now I feel like I've diluted it too much. So my intuition, my gut tells me that I need to bring it back into the forefront. And it may make sense for me to flip it again. So I'm still feeling it on this yellow. I still think that that's the critical big solid color that I want to employ. So let's keep experimenting with it. Let's keep playing with a whole bunch of solid yellow. I'm gonna try to do my best to make sure it doesn't blend this time. And I still want to pull it through. Oh, now we've got it. Now we've got this thick, incredible. Ah, this is what I've been looking for. This is, the magic just happened. This is all going to be better. It got really unnerving there for a minute, but now we've got the power back. Now we've got the magic happening, and we've got a solid painting now with vibrant colors. And my friends, we're almost there. I added some metallic Nova blue to create that contrast and try to echo a little bit of this green into it, since the green is more prevalent throughout the painting. Hopefully this metallic blue will still show through. Just wanted to create a little shape. Ooh, I like that texture using the green. And of course, sometimes it's fun to just add little bits of texture where it calls out to you. I don't want to disrupt this big, bold section of yellow, but some of these exterior areas with more subtle texture might have some fun with some splashes of green. And that, my friends, looks like an incredible finished painting. We'll see if anybody scoops it up. This was the first video in the studio. Hopefully it was useful to see the process, and I think we came up with a really cool painting as well.